If you want high rise, this is not for you. Good morning. Good morning. Hey everybody, welcome to another video on the Sebastian Sloane NYC channel. The goal of this video is to teach you how to use short rows to make your micro shorts a little bit longer in the back. As you can see, these are covering my butt. We've got a little extra inch here, and the goal is for you to be able to do the same thing on your micro shorts so you can feel that they are more wearable. However, I'm coming down here. This is not a pattern for how to make micro shorts because I can only make them for my size if I don't have a model here. So, with that being said, I am making a few assumptions about the viewers of this video. The audience of this video that I am intending is people who have made micro shorts from patterns or videos in the past, and they are interested in making them a little bit longer as they might not be comfortable wearing them out. So, if that is you, stay tuned. We're gonna learn how to modify your micro shorts with the magic of adding short rows to make them longer. So we're gonna talk about two areas where we add the short rows. So the first area is the upper back. So when you have a pair of jeans, for example, they have that like long triangle shape in the back, right? So that way, when you sit down at a restaurant, you don't flash everybody, right? Ah, my backdrop. Oh no. Anywho, so we want to incorporate that same type of triangle shape into the back of our shorts. Another thing is that if you can see where these micro shorts have these short rows, they start here, we have one here, and we have one here. If you look across the way, it balances out while this is still slightly lower. This end is shorter. This end is longer because there is more space on the butt. So our first area is, I'm going to call it like the jean triangle because it's like the jean triangle. The second place we add short rows is the back of the legs. I don't really know why this happens actually, but I feel like micro shorts are always too short in the back. Not necessarily because they don't have like a head start on the top, but because for some reason the bottom comes out like ridiculously long. Like if you look where this ends here above our short rows, this spot from the crotch ends up so much higher compared to the back and the front. So I don't like that. So we added one set of short rows here before our final row to get us about an inch down extra. So this video is going to teach you how to do this, and I'm super excited because I've been wanting to make this video for a while. I would also like to point out that my sweater is based off of a sweater that Kurt wears in Glee, and I love it, and I'm thinking of making a second one that might be slightly improved from this one. But I have a knit brunch that I'm going to today with some Fiber Arts girlies, and I thought I would rep Crochet because Crochet, you know, gets the short end of the stick sometimes. So I'm big on like promoting Crochet, even if I also love knitting and mostly knit. Anywho, let's get into these micro shorts, and you're gonna get me like a few days ago in a worse outfit. Hey everybody, we are officially walking to the yarn store to go and pick up the yarn. I'm wearing a free-handed scarf with yarn from Knitting Fever and a free-handed hat with yarn from Knitty City. Balaclava, not hat, what the heck. We have made it to the yarn store. Here is the sign for our little underground secret yarn store. I just left the yarn store after talking to the owners, I believe, and it was super great, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it when I get to my next destination. Hello everybody, good morning. Good morning. I am back today and I'm going to report on what I bought at HM Nabavian and what happened when I went there and blah blah blah. Then we're gonna wind up some yarn and we're gonna start some micro short. First things first, the store, as you saw in the video, is underground. So you enter through a warehouse door that doesn't look real. Once you go inside, like the door, to the left, there's gonna be a sign with HM Nabavian written on it. So you follow the staircase and you follow this, like, it doesn't like feel like you're supposed to be there, but you're going the right way because there are lots of signs that tell you that you're going the right way. So once I got in, I was speaking to the owner, I believe, Daniel Nabavian, and he's super nice. His sister was there also. She also works there. I did not get her name. The vibe of this store is that they sell yarns for rug restoration and rug makers. So they have not that many kinds of fiber. Like, they do have a lot of types of fibers. Like, do not get me wrong on that. They have a lot of kinds of fibers, but it's not like a local yarn store where they have one brand of one thing in a really beautiful color scheme, but there's only one hot pink and one light pink. This store has just like wool, and it has like 8 shades of pink for whatever you could possibly need. So they have every single color of the yarns that they carry. So if you have a specific vision, let's say, for example, if you guys remember the watermelon sugar tank top by the Harry Styles copy thing that everyone did a few years ago, this store would have been fabulous to find the exact colors to make the watermelon, right? Because it was like that specific pink color. Or the Taylor Swift dress, if you remember that. Like, I feel like all these yarn stores were like busting it on Instagram to post their Taylor Swift dress, but not all the colors were very accurate. So anyway, so this yarn store was fabulous. If you are a fiber artist, you should definitely go in there, check them out, and buy some yarn. When I got there, I asked if they could recommend me any wool, medium weight wools that I was looking for, and a bunch of color choices. And the one that he recommended me actually had it's a plied yarn, which I will show you shortly, but it's a plied yarn, and they had a colorway come in, a very popular colorway, unplied by accident. So he gave that to me at a discount because he's unable to sell it, and because I don't particularly care how it's going to look so specifically. I'm doing stripes, so if the textures are slightly different, I don't care. But I'll show you what I got. Let's get into it. So this is the yarn that I bought. I got 2 each of them. I will show them up close. They are from the Brown Sheep & Co. yarn dyer place, I guess, yarn company. And they are in Mitchell, Nebraska. Their website is brownsheep.com. This is 100% USA, 100% wool, and the purples are 162 yards, for each. The whites, I'm not 100% sure. They're a tiny bit thicker, so my personal theory is this is a little shorter, but I want to do this in the waistband anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, let us, get into shorts. I guess we have to wind these. Also, these are not like the most like wildly super soft wools, but they're not rough at all. They're very cushy. They're probably not as soft when you knit them up, but I bet you they will be super soft when I block them. Not too strong of a wool smell, but we'll see when we block it again. So unfortunately, I don't have a Yarn Swift, and my local yarn store doesn't open until noon, and it is before 8 a.m. So I am going to start rolling these skeins into a ball so I can put the ball on my yarn winder and make it into a cake so I can easily use it. So I'll take you along for that with some music. We're gonna wind it now. Okay, welcome to my floor. We're gonna start filming. Now we're gonna get into these micro shorts. So as you saw, my measurement around my waist is going to be 100 stitches. So what I'm going to do is take my 4.5 millimeter hook, or whatever your biggest size is. You want it to be like 1.0 or 1.5 millimeters bigger than the hook you're going to use for your shorts, and I'm going to use a 3.5 millimeter hook. The other thing that I want to note is the purple yarn is 162 yards and the white yarn is 190 yards. And while I did want to use the purple for the waistband, I think it will be better to do the white because I'll have more of it at the end. So with that being said, we are going to start off with our purple yarn, because at the end, when we add the waistband, which is the method that I am choosing to do instead of starting with the waistband, which I would do if I was knitting. But when we add the waistband, we will have it continue to stripe. So it will go white for the waistband and then start in the stripes with the purple. So I'm going to take my cake of yarn that I just caked, as you saw, and I am going to make a slip knot. And as you know, this is not going to be like a tutorial. This is more of a guideline, but you're going to be using a micro shorts pattern you already have. So I'm going to do a foundation double crochet chain, which if you don't know how to do it, please look it up on YouTube. There are a lot of tutorials. Instead of chaining 100 and then double crocheting into all of those chains, and it won't have very much stretch, what this does is it makes double crochets next to each other by chaining. Let's say this is your double crochet. You chain one, and then you build down, and then you hook into the bottom or the top, however you want to define it. But that is what you do. So it creates the stitches outward, and they have a lot more stretch. So it's really a great method to do for shorts. It also, I don't know if it's necessarily faster, but it's definitely more efficient for me because I don't like crocheting into a chain. The reason that we have two different hook sizes is because the foundation chain will come out a little bit tighter. So we want it to have the same gauge as our regular double crochets that we're going to be doing for the majority of this pattern. Therefore, it is really helpful to go up a hook size. And as you can see, here is the start of our chain. It's got stretch, it's got stitches on both sides, but this side is cleaner and this is the side we will be crocheting into. This side that is less clean, we will be picking up stitches for the waistband later. But anyway, for now, I'm going to make my 100 stitches foundation chain, and I will come back and let you know the next step. All right, so we have come back to finishing this first round of 100 foundation chains where I did connect them. And let me translate what all of these stitch markers mean and how it might change depending on the number of stitches that you have. So, first things first is I have 100 stitches. So I just want to remind everyone we have 100 stitches here. And if you look between each pair of stitch markers, there are 25 stitches total. So from orange to green, there's 25. From green to orange, orange to blue, blue to orange, right? So each of those fence off 25 stitches. And the reason for that is that we're going to put the increases in the orange stitches. So every time we go around on the purple stripes, which we will get to, why that is the case later, when we get to the purple stripes, we're going to do our increase. We're going to put 2 double crochets into each of these stitches. And that is going to create a wider effect for the center in the front and back. So the legs grow and then you split for the legs and it's like this shape. Yes. So one other thing to note is, let's say between your stitches, you had an odd number. So let's say you had 102 foundation chains. So between your blue and green stitch markers, you would have 51 stitches, and that's not divisible by 2 to put 2 stitch markers here. What you would do is you would count, for example, the 225 stitches in, and you would put a single stitch marker in stitch 26 coming from both directions because it's the same stitch. And then what you would do from there, anyway, we're gonna grab this and we're gonna do our next row. So I'll start us off. You know what, why not? I'll do a little speed up video for you guys. Another thing I do want to note actually is, depending on what round it is, I'll specify if it's actually important where you start. But anytime that we're cutting the yarn, which we cut the yarn, I should clarify that, of the purple. Anytime that we're cutting the yarn, it's beneficial to start in a different location so you don't have like a little lump going down one line, because I'm really bad at color work and stripes and I always get a lump. I'm sure there's a solution. If you know it, please leave it in my comments. I would love to hear it. But the reason we cut this purple yarn after doing this row is because the next purple round is going to be short rows and we're going to need to disconnect it anyway. Let's get into round 2. I'll actually talk during this. So I want to point out again that this is not a tutorial on how to make micro shorts. What I want to explain is where the short rows go to make the shorts higher in the back and longer in the back of the legs. But to do that, I need to make a pair of micro shorts. And I always freehand them. I've never made them from a pattern. But a lot of the patterns I never see anybody turning around. So I want to make a pair of micro shorts that you can turn around, but I'm not interested in writing a pattern. I want you to take the micro shorts that you like, and I want you to modify them with this video. I don't want you to ask me for a pattern. I'm sorry. But that's what I've got for you. So here we're going to pass by where the purple is. I started a few stitches earlier on the white, so that way I can weave in the purple and the white ends as I go. And again, I just want to remind everyone, this is not a beginner's tutorial. This is, again, for people who have made micro shorts in the past and want to modify the recipe. And one thing I'm going to note that I do a lot is anytime we come across like a weird gappy stitch, like where the knot is where you slip stitch and cut off the yarn, I will create that as like a stitch and then do a decrease, but it's not a real decrease because that's not a real stitch. But by decreasing into that stitch, it will close up the gap, as you can see here, that this is now much closer to this next stitch instead of having this empty spot between these two right here. And that is really important to note for later, because when we are doing our short rows, there's going to be a little bit of a gap that forms when you start the short row and then you do the next row on top of it. So that is a technique that we will come back to and be using again. Okay, we have 2 rows done with no increases. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to think about our short rows. And I'm going to try this on so you guys can see my thinking. So let me get to that. Alrighty, so this is what our shorts look like on, right? So we have our fronts, our back, and we have our, hold on, our side. So we have our two sides with our two colorful markers, right? So what we need to do is at least 3 short rows is what I would advise. The first one I would put here because we want this to be a little bit further back. So I put one about at the halfway marker. Then what we're going to do is we're also going to put 2 getting closer to the center because you want this to be a little bit wider. If I hold this comfortably here, this is where I would want this to fit. I would want it to be this low in the front, pretty low, and I would want it to be this high in the back, assuming that there was going to be an elastic or a waistband, right? So if we take this piece of string here and we note from here to here, so we need to fill in this space with short rows. So you see how it starts in the front and this lowest point is not actually that much. So we would put one about here, one about here, and one about here. However, lots of people have different bodies from me. So you might have more butt. You might want more short rows because you need this to go more out and you want it more up. But you still want it lower in the front. If you want high rise, this is not for you. This is only for low rise shorts. I do not know how to adjust high rise shorts because I've never made a single pair of high rise shorts. But as you can see, we're going to do that. Then the other thing we have to note that's super important is the short rows in the back where we're going to do the increases in the back. We are going to continue doing our increases in pattern. So we're going to increase at the purple stripe, stripe 1, and we're going to not increase at the white stripe, stripe 2. So even when we're doing our stripes for the short rows and we're not getting to this front center, so we're not increasing here, we're still increasing in the back because on most people, their butt is a little bigger than their front. So we need this to get a head start on this. And even at the end of the shorts, when we stop increasing for the front, when we get to about here, we might continue increasing for the back. Depending on your body type, you might need to put increases in the like more randomly spread out across like the middle of these 2 sections. Like you're going to need to do a little bit of experimenting based on the previous micro shorts that you made and the increases that you liked there. But you are going to have to figure some of this out for yourself. Unfortunately, I don't have really good math for you. Anyway, I'm going to get to these short rows and I will let you know some of the numbers that I use on my shorts. All right, so we are back and we're ready to do our first short row. And yeah, let's just get into it. I'll explain what we have to do here. So the first short row we're going to add is the one that's closest to these stitch markers. There are 2 side markers. So the first thing we need to consider when we do short rows is how you start the short rows. So you don't just jump in. Hold on. You don't just jump into throwing in some double crochets. What you're going to do is 2 single crochets, 2 half doubles, and then go into your doubles. Then the other thing we want to consider is the first color will start where it starts. The second color starts 1 stitch outside of that because we want it to stay connected, if that makes sense. So if we put the purple here, right, purple, we want the white to connect and kind of blend that purple in. So the next purple stripe only touches the white. We do not want the purple stripe to touch the purple. So I am going to go to my stitch marker here, stitch marker 26. If this is 25 and this is 1, this would be 26, or also known as 1 from 1 to 25 here. I am going to start 4 stitches outside. So that first stitch does count with the stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That is where I'm going to start. So that way the double crochets start exactly on this marker, and these exact 50 stitches will all be double crochets. So I'm going to pick up my yarn and get into it. And I will show you these first sections if I can pick up my yarn nice. Oh my god. Okay, slip and stitch, We have 1 single crochet, we have 2 single crochet, and I'm also going to do these as a decrease because that's where I joined the yarn and it's a little chunky. 1 half double crochet, and remove this marker. 1 more half double crochet, replace the marker. And don't forget that we are weaving in our ends as we go. We're trapping them under the crochets. If you do not know how to do this, please go look up a tutorial right now and come back to me. And yeah, now we're gonna get going with our double crochets, and I will get back to you on the other end of this. I lied, we're actually going to stop here between our 2 center markers, and we are gonna do our increase. So again, if your main number is an even number that is divisible by 2 and it becomes an odd number, you only have 1 stitch marker because when we split your stitches up, you have an odd number on each half. So you're going to put 3 double crochets into that stitch. If you have an even number divisible by 4, you will put in 2 double crochets into each of these 2 markers. So either way, it is an increase by 2. However, we are making sure that it will be symmetrical based on the number of stitches that you start with, but it doesn't matter how many stitches you start with unless it is an odd number, in which case don't do that. That would be bad. Anyway, let us crochet back to our green marker and we will go from there. Okay, we have made it to our last double crochet, which is our first green marker, which is also within our first section of 25 stitches. Then at our next marker, we're going to start our half double crochet into a single crochet little ombre. So we're going to do 1 half double crochet, place our marker back. We're going to do another half double crochet, and then we're going to do a single crochet and a single crochet, and we are going to do this. And if I can find my scissors, we will cut our yarn. So, cool. That's nice. So short row number 1, you should have something like this in the back. So it looks like 3 stripes, right? Plot twist, it's not 3 stripes, it looks like this. And we are going to take our next color, or our second color, and we are going to repeat this whole thing, but we are going to start 1 stitch more in, and I'll show you what this looks like so you can understand better why we do this and how the white stays connected. So one thing I want to note here is I put our first single crochet in here. And then our next single crochet goes into this stitch in the purple, right? But we're going to end up with a big gap here. So we're going to actually decrease with the stitch that the last purple is in. I'll show you again how that looks. So this is our first 4 stitches completed. Oop, I dropped this. So as you can see, this white is here holding the purple inside. So when we get to a purple stripe, it will go in. And then if you see here, you can see this jump is no longer there because we did a faux decrease. So that is super lovely, and I will get into my double crocheting. And remember, for this round, when we get to the orange markers, we're not increasing. We're not increasing because we only increase on the purple round. However, that is for my micro shorts. You may have different proportions than me, and you may need to increase every 3rd round or every round. Maybe just in the back, not in the front. So maybe you increase every other round in the front, but you increase every 2 rounds, or every 3 round. So that, again, is something you're going to need to experiment with. However, when you're making something like micro shorts, there's a lot of room for experimentation, especially because we have to cut the yarn anyway. So you're able to just frog like one little row and it's not too bad. So I do definitely appreciate that. And we are back to our last marker again, and we are going to remember that this is going to go 1 stitch past, meaning we start our half double crochets 1 stitch further out. So we're going to put a double crochet and replace the stitch marker like we did in the last round, but our next double crochet, our next stitch marker is no longer a half double crochet, it is a double crochet regular. So we're going to put that in and replace our marker, and then we will do a half double crochet, a half double crochet, a single crochet with a faux decrease into this space here, and finally 1 last single crochet. And we're going to do a slip knot and cut our yarn. So that gives us 1 short row, and as you can see, the front is shorter than the back. Now, let's get on to our next short row. So in between these 2 stitches is 25 stitches. I don't think I need these short rows like closer in the front than 5 or 6 stitches past here. So I am going to move up 4 stitches for the next short row, and then another 4 stitches for the next short row. So that's a total of 8 stitches. So that's going to put us about here for our most center short row. So I want to let everyone know that is what I'm thinking, and I'm going to do our next short row, and then I will try this on and come back and see if anything needs to be changed or if my plan is working. So I'm going to get into that. And remember, when you're doing yours, we're increasing in the back every round that we do the purple, and we are not increasing on the white unless your body requires that, in which case you should increase every round or 2 rounds out of every 3. Let's get a move on. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, let's count our 4 from here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I will let you see how this is going to look before I turn off the camera and bang this out. So then our next white will be right here, and then we'll have 1 more of this kind of angular motif. So after we finished our short rows, all I did was add regular rows. So as you can see here, this is our second short row, connecting these 2 whites to our white number 2. And then I just did regular rows. As you can see, no short rows. Here is the back, so it just looks like stripes. And here's the front, it just looks like stripes, but if you look at the side, you can see the short rows. One more thing to note is that I did add another row of white to the top because I realized I wouldn't run out of yarn and I'd be able to do purple for the waistband, so I thought it would be a good idea. And lastly, I want to note that when I connect here in the crotch, it is a little shorter than I'd like, however, it will stretch with blocking, so I want to acknowledge that space that I'm going to need. And how it's going to grow. So the next thing we're going to do after we're done with our length to the crotch portion is we are going to chain, I'm going to chain 8. I'm going to chain 7. but you are going to chain somewhere between like 4 and 8, maybe more, depending on your size, but you are kind of guesstimating by holding these markers together and seeing what will fit. And what you're probably gonna have when it's connected is it's gonna kind of like do like a McDonald's arch here, but that's okay because we're going to add short rows to balance that out. What else do I have to say on this section? Okay, so one more thing is that we have cut our yarns, if you haven't noticed. So the reason we're gonna do that is because we ended on a purple stripe, but because the next row is white, we're actually going to crotch connect here in the white. So that way when we do the white, it's white on both sides, right? So there's 2 methodologies here based on how many center increases you have. So if you have only 1 center increase, it will be super simple. You're gonna start in the front, attach your yarn, chain to the side, and then pick a direction and go in a circle. And you're gonna go from where you connect the chain in the back, around in a circle, past the chained stitches, and connect in the round and start your stripes from the back butt crack area, the back butt, I guess. So that is option 1. However, if you are like me and you have a divisible by 4 number, you are going to start in the back and you're going to chain, and then you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch marker stitch, and then you are going to single crochet into that chain. And that's because we want to make sure to keep it equal on both sides, and if we chain to one side, then we'd have 2 extra stitches on the other side. And if we do it in a diagonal, our side stitches will be shifted over and they will no longer be helpful for our short rows. So with that being said, I'm going to connect at the crotch and come back and show you what that looks like. All right, so I have connected the front to the back. This is what it looks like now. There's a chain there, super fun. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to continue. I'm going to add 1 row of each color here, and then I will get into the short rows. But I do want to mention a few things, of course. If you have a bigger butt than me and your shorts are already cutting a little higher than mine, you are going to not only do more rows, but you're also going to continue increasing. And you are going to have to find a rate that's helpful for you. However, adding somewhere between 2 and 5 increases sporadically between a little bit closer to the front from your blue markers all the way to a little bit past the first orange marker, which is also the first chain to the front, so somewhere over here, between here and here basically, you're going to want to continue increasing so the shorts go more out. And then also if you just want them more loose, again, you're going to do that, but I want mine to be skin tight, so I'm not going to do that. And another thing to note is if you want them tighter and you are skinnier than me, you might want to decrease if you have very thin thighs. That will be something you're going to have to experiment with and figure out for yourself, because that is not something I do in my micro shorts. So I'm going to do a round on each side and get back to you. And I know I'm going to have like a bazillion ends to weave in. However, it will be worth it because it's easier to explain when the shorts are symmetrical. I am back and I have done these 2 rows on my micro shorts. So as you can see, they are not as long as I would like just yet, and they are a pretty good length in the front. I think I would be happy with 1 more row. So as you can see, the shorts are not full length in the back, but they're pretty full length in the front. So after I add my short rows, I'll probably only add 1 more row. But I'm going to start my short rows over here, and which is your halfway marker from the top, right? So I'm going to start about here, and I want them to be longer to like somewhere over here, which brings us to the chain that we did for the crotch and our 2 stitch markers on the front and the back. So I'm going to do 1 round of short rows because of the size of this yarn. Most people and most yarns that are smaller than this will probably require at least 2 rounds of short rows, but I am just going to do 1 and I'm going to keep it on these sides. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to start with the white and end in the purple, and then I'm going to do one row of the white and get back to you and show you how that looks. Good morning, everybody. We have 2 legs and we have a ruffle. So I decided to end this pair of micro shorts legs with a ruffle because I thought that would be cute for these when I do the waistband purple and then to do a little purple ruffle. However, I am, for the sake of the video, going to end these shorts here. I'm going to finish them not in this video, but I am going to put on the micro shorts that are completed already that you saw at the beginning of the video, and we're going to talk about the finishings there. First, I can't wait for summer. Bring it me, I want summer. Secondly, these are our finished shorts. Yay. Let's talk about them and what I did to finish them, and then I'm gonna have a little montage or something. I don't know. We're gonna end the video and we're done here. So we are gonna look at these shorts. So as you can see here, we have our short rows in the back, under the butt, and then we have 2 rows. So when you look straight on, it's just about even a little bit longer in the back, which is what I would personally want. The ends are sewn in, which is great, took like forever. And then we'll talk about this knitted waistband. So there is actually like an 1.5 centimeter long elastic in here. So I cast it onto my crochet edge and I picked up stitches in this yellow color. And I knitted till I got slightly past over the top of the length. And then I switched to my other color because I was gonna run out of the yellow. This one actually is softer and would have been better against the skin, but whatever. So then from there, I just connected my knit and cast it off all in one round. So when you finish your length, this is the inside and this is the outside, you're gonna knit 2 together, cast off. You should only have 1 stitch on your needle on the right the whole time. The left should be feeding off and out. Anyway, so we have a few more options on micro shorts, and I will give you a little montage of how you can do them better, worse, and different. Up first, these are the oldest micro shorts in my apartment. There's only 2 pairs here right now, besides for the 2 I just made. These do not have short rows. So as you can see, they're almost at my belly button. They're pretty mid-rise in the front, but in the back, they're ultra low rise. The other thing that's an issue here is that the front is visibly longer than the back. And this just goes to show why short rows can be so beneficial. But on the positive side, these are super cute. They have a ribbed 1x1 cuff, and the waistband is also 1x1 rib, but I did a picot edge, folded it over, and I put in an elastic. However, record noise. No, there's actually an effect for that. I'm gonna play it. Anyway, I started here on the inside by casting on and doing this ribbing and the picot. And then I knitted into that cast on, I don't know what it's called, where you cast on into a crochet loop. But that's what I did. So if you choose to start with knitting and you're doing a knit short, I would highly recommend doing that type of cast on because it's really, really stretchy. Those are not as stretchy. Lastly are these shorts that I made for my birthday party 2 years ago, my 24th birthday. So I crocheted the shorts using half double crochets. Then when I got to the legs, I knitted, but I left gaps from where I picked on the stitches to do this knitted ruffle, and I put this ribbon through it on both sides. And then I cast it on knitting on the loops here, where I did this through the back loop. So you can see that it has a ridge. So it was really easy to pick these 2 ruffles up. And yeah, that's what I did. These guys have short rows in the bottom, have short rows in the top, as you can see here where they grow. And you can also see where this ruffle starts in the back is lower than it is in the front. But this is like a super fun one. Like imagine with like a mohair, like cloud vibes. Yeah, cool. Anyway, that is the end of this video. I have finished teaching you how to make micro shorts. Yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go finish editing this so I can try and post it for you all today. Also for the algorithm. Bye, everybody.